one of the funniest narratives is that Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell somehow hate each other, and Kelsey Mitchell hates Indiana, and she wants to leave Indiana because occasionally, you know, she might go and post something cryptic that has nothing to do with basketball. And if you got
one of the season's most persistent WNBA storylines has been the idea that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark can't stand each other, that Mitchell supposedly wants out of Indiana just to escape Clark, and every cryptic Instagram post gets twisted into evidence for this fan-made drama. But here's what really happened when Mitchell sat down for that Subaru podcast interview. The story wasn't about tension or escape. It was about context, perspective, and a player speaking openly, far from the headlines and manufactured narratives that fans have been spinning.
Situated, I feel like, you know, when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make on the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff, is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than the program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. You know, it wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah.
I feel like when someone that impactful enters a team, it forces a lot of adjustments. On the court, off the court, in the locker room, even in the training room. There are just so many moving parts. But the thing I respected most about Kane is that she was never bigger than the program. I don't know if that makes sense. It wasn't like she was trying to take over or dominate. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
She comes in, she's going to obviously do her part, because that's what being a professional athlete is, but with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so like the one thing I love,
she literally came out and said, when it comes to, like, there's never been a negative word said from.
Listen closely to what Mitchell just said. She never was bigger than the program. That's not the language of someone holding grudges. It's the language of respect. Real respect for how a superstar rookie navigated joining an established roster. Because think about it. When the biggest name in women's basketball history shows up on your team, bringing unprecedented media scrutiny and commercial pressure, there are countless ways it could all unravel. Egos could clash. Styles could collide. Veterans could feel pushed aside. None of that happened in Indiana. And Mitchell is explaining exactly why.
She also knows when Caitlin Clark's there, she can't go ultra ISO. But also, we saw a lot less dribble, step back long twos out of her last year than we saw in 2024. And especially early on in the year. Like, we always joke about Kelsey Mitchell on this channel, like she has the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. Angel's telling her, pass the ball, relocate, I can get an open layup or 3-point shot, and the devil's telling her, let me go tween, step back and shoot a shot with my foot on the line. Whereas she was listening to the angel way more often than she was listening to the devil in 2025, even without.
There it is. Her style of play complemented me and complemented AB. Mitchell isn't just being polite. She's describing a basketball reality that reshaped her entire 2024 season. Let's break down what changed. In 2023, Mitchell averaged 17.1 points per game on 42.3% shooting. Her game revolved around isolation plays, step-back jumpers, and creating shots off her dribble, effective, yes, but exhausting and inefficient. Then Clark arrived with her elite playmaking. Suddenly, Mitchell was getting open looks off passes she'd never seen before. Catch-and-shoot threes replaced contested pull-ups. Layups came from backdoor cuts instead of forcing drives through traffic. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark didn't just change Mitchell's opportunities. It elevated her entire game.
Trying to get theirs. There are very few basketball players in the world who would rather lose. Who would rather lose than win, if we're being honest. But yeah, it is what it is. So I see it here again. Grateful for you two's reposting it, and it's just one of those things where this Indiana Fever team, we joke, like we didn't, like we joke about it, but it was partially correct. Like, we have absolutely joked about this whole thing, but we all said in the playoffs, we're like, the power of
Mitchell is being remarkably candid about her own tendencies here. The devil on one shoulder urging her to go into hero mode, dribble 6 times, take the tough shot. The angel on the other shoulder reminding her that the easy play wins games. In 2024, she listened to the angel far more often. Not because Clark told her to, but because winning basketball became obvious when you're paired with someone who makes the game easier for everyone. And this is exactly where the "they hate each other" narrative falls apart. Mitchell is describing a teammate who elevated her, simplified her life on the court, and helped the Fever reach the playoffs for the first time in years.
our lineup was Bree Turner, Lexi Hull, KK, Odyssey Sims, and Shea Petty. And they dragged the eventual champion Aces back into overtime. They dragged them into overtime. It was literally... It was one of those things where it's like, they absolutely, as a team, you could tell they adored each other. They literally would run. They ran.
Mitchell and the rest of the Fever even turned their friendship into a running joke during the playoffs. But there's real meaning behind the humor. Take Game 2 against the Las Vegas Aces. Indiana was down 10 points. Aaliyah Boston was on the bench, and the lineup on the floor was Bria Turner, Lexi Hall, KK Odyssey Sims, and Shea Petty. That's not exactly a championship caliber 5. Yet that group battled the eventual WNBA champions into overtime. They fought, scraped, and refused to quit. And when they won playoff games, the whole team would sprint to Clark's black Air Force Ones to celebrate together. That's not staged for cameras. That's authentic chemistry you can't fake over an 82-game season.
What do we want to say about Stephanie White's coaching? I think Stephanie White did an exceptional job. I think it's fair to say she did an exceptional job, but there are still questions, and we'll need to see whether or not Caitlin Clark is going, like whether or not this style of play is going to fit with Caitlin Clark next year. But we need a full season to figure that out. Like, we didn't see 1 minute of Caitlin Clark being healthy, so we need a full season to figure that out. If it turns out that it's not compatible, then the Fever have a choice to make. They don't need to make it soon. Caitlin's 23 years old.
Here's where we have to separate reality from rumor. Sure, there's a scenario where Kelsey Mitchell leaves Indiana in free agency. She's earned the right to explore her options, see what other teams might offer, and make the best decision for her career and family. But if she does leave, it won't be because she's running from Caitlin Clark. It won't be because of some manufactured locker room drama that exists only in the imagination of fans chasing controversy. It would be because she's seeking a new opportunity, a new city, a different role, or better financial terms, all completely legitimate reasons that have nothing to do with personal animosity.
People still try to push the narrative. Like, for me, it's... I can't believe I'm constantly having to make this same video over and over and over again. But fans are still pushing that narrative, so I have to talk about it over and over and over again. But at least every single time I'll make one of these videos, maybe there's a fan who believes that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark don't like each other, or Kelsey Mitchell doesn't like Caitlin Clark, rather than the fact that they very much do like each other. They seem to enjoy playing with each other. And yes, there's a world where Kelsey Mitchell leaves the Fever.
And yet, despite all the evidence, despite Mitchell's own words, despite the clear chemistry throughout the 2024 season, the narrative endures. Fans keep pushing the idea that these two can't stand each other, which begs the question, why invent drama where none exists? Part of it is modern sports fandom. Controversy drives clicks. A story about two players who respect each other and play well together doesn't generate the same engagement as locker room tension and personality clashes. Part of it is projection. Fans have strong opinions about how the Fever should be run, who should be the go-to option, and how minutes should be allocated. When reality doesn't match their vision, they fabricate narratives to explain the gap. And part of it is simply that people love drama. A healthy, functional team dynamic is boring compared to the soap opera version where everyone's secretly at each other's throats.
Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? And yeah, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Let's tackle the elephant in the room. Stephanie White's coaching and whether her system fits Clark long-term. We haven't seen a single minute of a fully healthy Caitlin Clark under White's system. By the time White took over, Clark was already managing the ankle injury that eventually sidelined her for the rest of the season. So, there's no real data on how this partnership functions at full strength, and that's a legitimate question heading into next season. White's offense emphasizes ball movement and multiple playmakers, while Clark's greatest asset is dominating the ball and creating advantages through her individual brilliance. Those approaches aren't inherently incompatible, but they require careful integration. If, after a full healthy season, White's system doesn't maximize Clark's abilities, the Fever will have a decision to make, but there's no rush. Clark is only 23. They have time to find the optimal structure. And more importantly, this is a basketball question, not a personality conflict. It's about X's and O's, offensive philosophy, and maximizing talent. It has nothing to do with whether Mitchell and Clark get along. Here's what we actually know, based on evidence, not speculation. Kelsey Mitchell has repeatedly praised Caitlin Clark, her playmaking, her willingness to integrate into the team, and her refusal to demand special treatment. Mitchell has explicitly said Clark's style complements her own game and makes her more effective. On the court, their chemistry is visible. Off the court, their celebrations show genuine connection. Mitchell might leave Indiana in free agency. That's her right. But if she does, it won't be because of some imagined feud with the franchise player. The relationship between Mitchell and Clark is one of mutual respect, two elite athletes elevating each other. Everything else? Fanfiction for people who need drama to stay engaged. The real story is far more compelling. A veteran scorer adapting her game to a transcendent rookie. A team that missed the playoffs for 8 straight years finding chemistry and competitiveness. Two players with different styles figuring out how to maximize each other's strengths. That's the narrative, no manufactured controversy required. So next time someone pushes the Mitchell hates Clark storyline, ask them for evidence. A single quote, a single action, a single moment. You won't find one. What you will find are two professional basketball players figuring out how to win together. A rare achievement in a league that struggles with roster continuity and team chemistry. The Indiana Fever have real questions heading into next season. How does Stephanie White's system integrate with Clark's abilities? Can they acquire the pieces needed to compete for a championship? Will Mitchell resign or explore other options? Those are the basketball questions that deserve serious analysis. But do Mitchell and Clark hate each other? Isn't one of them. That question was answered definitively in 2024, in Mitchell's own words, in their on-court performance, and in the chemistry that brought Indiana back to playoff relevance. Let's put this narrative to rest once and for all. Mitchell and Clark don't have a problem. The only problem is the fans who keep insisting they do, despite all evidence to the contrary. Are you finally ready to let go of this manufactured drama? Or are you still convinced there's some secret tension that every reporter, teammate, and coach has somehow missed?